All right, so you thought you knew a little something about American history, huh?
Hmm.
Well, strap in, because we're going deep, like way back before those little ships came bobbing across the ocean.
Hmm.
This is the real story, the one that starts thousands of years ago.
Yeah,
We're talking civilizations that rivaled anything Europe had at the time.
absolutely.
And we're using excerpts from History of America to uncover the often overlooked layers of colonization in the Americas.
It's funny how we always think about Columbus discovering America,
Right.
as if the continent was just like sitting there empty,
Totally.
waiting for him to plant a flag.
Yeah.
But that's erasing a whole lot of vibrant and complex societies that were already here.
Exactly. I mean, we're talking about the Maya with their crazy, accurate calendar system.
Oh, yeah, centuries ahead of their time.
Like, how do they even do that?
Okay.
And the Aztecs, I mean, Tenochtitlan, their capital city.
A metropolis built right on a lake.
Right, on a lake.
A feat of engineering that rivaled anything Europe had at the time.
It's mind-blowing.
And then you've got the Inca.
Oh, yeah.
Their empire stretching down the Andes, connected by these incredible roads.
Didn't they have suspension bridges, too?
Oh, yeah, suspension bridges, advanced agriculture, complex social hierarchy.
Yeah.
They even kept records with knotted cords called quipu.
Knotted cords. That's wild.
It's incredible. These civilizations weren't just surviving, they were thriving.
And they were all toppled empires that had stood for centuries.
Yeah, it really puts the impact of colonization in perspective.
It does. It really does.
And, speaking of arrivals, Columbus wasn't even the first European to set foot in North America.
Wait, what? Really?
The Vikings were here first, like 500 years earlier.
The Vikings?
Mhm.
Are you serious?
Leif Erikson and his crew landed in present-day Newfoundland around the year 1000.
Wow.
They even established a settlement called Vinland,
Vinland, huh?
and we have the archaeological evidence to prove it.
So, Vikings in America, like, what happened? Why didn't they stick around?
That's the big question, right? Why did their efforts fizzle out while later colonization took root?
Yeah, I need the Viking scoop, the behind-the-scenes drama, all of it.
Well, there are a few theories.
Okay, lay it on me.
One is that the Vikings didn't get enough support from their homeland.
So they were kind of on their own out there.
Pretty much. Plus, they seem to have trouble adapting their farming to the new environment.
Ah, so it wasn't just about getting there. It was about, like, making it work.
Exactly. And maybe even more important, their relationships with the native populations weren't so great.
Oh, I see.
More conflict than cooperation.
Yeah, that's not going to help you build a lasting settlement.
Right. You need to work with the people who already know the land.
Makes total sense. So Vikings came, Vikings saw, Vikings kind of fumbled.
Pretty much. But they set the stage,
They did, yeah.
for what was to come.
The main event, so to speak.
You could say that.
The big arrival, the one everyone knows.
Columbus, in 1492,
There he is.
landing in the Bahamas, thinking he'd reached India. But his voyage was just the beginning, the tip of the iceberg, really.
Right, then it was full-on colonization time.
Exactly. A wave of Spanish colonization sweeping through the Americas.
Driven by gold, right. And converting everyone to Christianity.
Oh, yeah. Gold and God. That was the motto.
But wasn't there something else? Like this urge to own land?
Absolutely. Land meant power, wealth, control.
It's always about the land.
Always. And the Spanish crown, they were handing out huge chunks of land to conquistadors.
Which, of course, led to pushing out the indigenous population.
Exactly. That drive for land and this belief that their culture and religion were superior.
Yeah.
That really shaped the Spanish approach to colonization.
And that approach led to some serious consequences.
Oh, absolutely. You're talking about the fall of empires.
Right, like the Aztecs and the Inca.
Hernan Cortés conquered the Aztec Empire in 1521.
Cortés, yeah, I remember him from history class.
And then Francisco Pizarro went after the Inca in 1533.
Wow, so within like a decade.
It was swift and brutal.
And these weren't just battles,
Yeah.
right? No, not at all.
These were like the dismantling of entire civilizations.
The destruction of sophisticated cultures.
Man, it makes you wonder, what if those empires had teamed up against the Spanish?
That's a fascinating what if, isn't it?
A whole different story, maybe.
Maybe. But further north, a different kind of story was unfolding.
Okay, so now we're shifting gears.
Exactly. North America became this, like, three-way dance floor.
A dance floor. Interesting analogy.
The colonization, yeah.
So who are our dancers?
The Spanish, the French, and the English.
Oh, the classic trio.
Each with their own moves, their own strategies.
All right, give me the rundown. Who was doing what?
So the Spanish, they were building on their successes further south.
So they were already pretty good at this whole colonization thing.
Yeah, they had a system. They were pushing north, looking for more gold.
Always the gold.
Always. And they were big on converting the native populations to Christianity.
Right.
But the French, they took a different approach.
Okay, how so?
They went north and inland, focused more on trade. What were they trading?
Mainly furs.
Oh, yeah. Furs were big back then.
Huge business.
Yeah.
They were all about making alliances with the Native American tribes.
So playing the long game, I see.
Smart move. And then you had the English, mostly along the East Coast.
Right, the future USA.
Exactly. They had a mix of motivations, religious freedom, economic opportunity.
Land ownership, too, right?
Always a factor. But it wasn't all smooth sailing, not at all.
Oh, there were some wipeouts.
Some real head scratchers. Take the Roanoke colony.
The lost colony.
Exactly.
Right.
Established in 1585, the whole settlement vanished,
Poof, just gone.
leaving behind only the word Croatoan carved into a tree.
Spooky.
Right. We still don't know what happened.
A true mystery.
It's a stark reminder of how risky those early colonization attempts were.
Yeah, for every Jamestown success, there were probably a lot of Roanoke-like disasters.
Probably even more that we don't know about.
Speaking of Jamestown, that's where the English finally made it stick, right?
Yes, 1607.
Jamestown, Virginia.
Despite facing disease, starvation, conflicts with Native Americans,
Those early colonies really went through it
they did. But Jamestown survived,
and became the first permanent English settlement in North America.
setting the stage for the United States.
And a few years later, the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock,
1620, the Mayflower seeking religious freedom.
the classic Thanksgiving story.
Right, it's become so central to American identity.
The Pilgrims, the turkey, the cranberry sauce.
It's all there. But, it's important to remember,
Yeah.
the Pilgrims were just one group, one part of the story.
There are a lot of other English colonies popping up.
All along the East Coast, each with their own unique history.
Right.
And all of this happening while the indigenous populations were experiencing this, massive upheaval.
Millions dying from diseases.
Smallpox, measles, diseases they'd never encountered before.
Devastating.
Cultures disrupted, their way of life upended.
And the effects of that are still felt today.
Absolutely. Colonization wasn't just one event. It was this long, complex process.
With consequences that continue to ripple through history.
Exactly.
Wow, so we just covered thousands of years in a few minutes.
We did.
From thriving indigenous empires to the arrival of the Europeans and the rise of the 13 colonies.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. But it's important to see the whole picture, right?
Absolutely. To understand that colonization wasn't just about exploration and discovery.
It was about power, displacement, the clash of cultures.
And the choices people made, both big and small, that shaped the world we live in today.
Choices that still have an impact.
Think about it. How does the legacy of colonization shape the diversity and challenges facing the U.S. today?
That's a big question.
It is. What responsibility do we have knowing this past?
Yeah, that's something we all need to think about.
As we learn from the past and work towards a better future.
Well said. This has been an incredible journey through history.
I'm glad we could take it together.
So to our listeners, keep exploring, keep asking questions.
And keep uncovering the layers of history.
There's always more to learn.
Always.